Good morning, everybody. Just a couple of things today. I was having quite a good think last night about everything, the whole stopping the panics and all that stuff. And over the last few weeks, it's mostly been just focusing on shifting the panic and everything else. And I haven't really gone into what's kind of the things that have been on my mind as far as what I'm learning through the whole process. So I thought I might share a little bit of that today. I've changed my diet as part of the whole trying to get rid of the panic attacks. It seems to have a lot to do with them. So I cut out carbs. I'm a really I do love my carbs, whether it's potatoes, bread, pasta, all that kind of stuff. And I was eating a hell of a lot of carbs, and I'd wake up in the morning and straight away I'd feel really sluggish and slow and So this last week what I've done is just completely cut them out, and I've literally just lived on vegetables and chicken or fish, or just like protein, and basically what I've discovered is, firstly, I'm starving, but not in a horrible way. In like I never used to get hungry ever, but I would just eat when I wanted to eat. And my body is like has started working properly, if that makes sense. Like now I actually get hungry at proper sensible times of the day. So I'll around lunchtime I will feel hungry and feel the need to have something to eat, whereas before what I would tend to do is just a lot of days I wouldn't even eat during the day at all, and I wouldn't eat until I had an evening meal. And then I would have like a really carb-loaded meal, and then I'll just, I wouldn't be hungry at all. And I never really considered that it was an issue or whatever. That's just how I lived. And this last week now, I've actually started to develop a proper appetite at proper times, and the routine of it actually has really stabilised my mood. And I think when you're a panicker, or when you're an anxious person, or you feel vulnerable, a lot of my panic has been down to feeling vulnerable, and I've never really been able to kind of pinpoint why. I'm quite small, I'm only 5 foot, and I'm quite petite in size. And I've always just thought, maybe it's because I'm little, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but, I'm quite small, the world's a big bad place, and I've always just felt a little bit vulnerable. But as I'm starting to change things, and changing the way I live and eat and everything, I'm feeling a lot more stable, and I've been exercising quite a lot as well. So, like, normally I would wake up and my neck would be hurting, my back would be aching, my muscles would be tight and tense and everything. So straight away I would feel like that sense of underlying anxiety, which is, like GAD, generalised anxiety disorder. And I always just put it down to that and whatever. And I've always read things about your diet and blah 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 blah, and I've never really, honestly, I've never really paid that much attention to it. It really does help, really does. I don't think I can sustain this not eating carbs, because I like them, but if I balance it properly rather than just eating a really carb loaded meal, then I think there's room for that as well. The exercising has been great for me, because it's I feel less tense, less stressed, less achy, and my body feels more relaxed naturally. I do a hypnotherapy, a relax hypnotherapy every night. If you're interested, it's an Andrew Johnson one. I've got an iPhone, so I downloaded the app for it, and I use it every single night without fail. And that's really helping, because most of the time I'm asleep before it even finishes, and if I'm not, then I'm so relaxed by the time it's finished that I do tend to drift off. My sleep is really good. I mean, I could 8 hours. I feel like isn't enough for me normally, but since I've cut out all the carbs and whatever, I'm finding that I'm much more alert and awake when I get up in the morning, which is good. The other thing that I do, which is part of, it's recommended by Joe Barry, the writer of the Panic Away programme, and it's somebody else's idea, but one of the things about Panic Away is he doesn't just use his own ideas, he implements other people's ideas, and he makes it clear that he's, that these are other people's ideas. And he found this idea from an artist, and whenever she was having a creative block, what she would do is she started scribbling down at least 3 pages worth of just nonsense. Any word that popped into her head, she would just sit down with this pen and a piece of paper, and she would just write. And the idea is that you don't read it back, you don't analyse any of it, you don't even look at it once you've finished it. And even if you stop processing words and you can't think of anything to write, you just keep on writing, and to the point where you can even just write, I don't know what to say, nothing's in my head, whatever. And if you do that every morning before you really start your day off, it totally clears your mind. It takes a few weeks to really notice a difference and for it to have a sustainable impact, but it really has helped me a lot. But the key is just don't read it back, because you will start to analyse, and then you'll start having the whole irrational thought process and whatever that comes along with panic attacks. I think something that I have realised, probably the most important thing that I've realised, is that whatever program it is you follow, whatever it is you do to try and alleviate your panics, the key for me has been, over time, each day I've started to realise more and more that ultimately what it comes down to, above and beyond anything else, is great having all the tools and all of the relaxation techniques and all of the ideas, but the key is sheer grit, determination, absolute, total willpower. And that's something I've never had. I'm a smoker, and I like chocolate, I like sweets, I like cake, whatever, and I've never had the ability to just stop. I've always been quite weak when it comes to things like that. But with this, I have crossed the line with my willpower, and it's not, there's quite often you hear people say, well, you've got children or you've got this in your life, that should be enough of a reason for you to do this. That's all very well, but in reality, if it was that easy, then nobody would have a problem, no one would have an addiction, no one would have a phobia. It's just not realistic. It really does have to come from you, and I had no idea just how strong and how determined and ruthless really I could be with making this better. And this won't make sense to anybody, or well, it might, but to most people that don't have this particular anxiety problem or phobia won't really understand this. It might sound ridiculous and overdramatic, but the truth of it is when you suffer with this problem and your life is dominated by fear, a lot of people who don't have this problem assume that panicking or nerves or whatever is similar to the kind of nerves you have when you go for a job interview or something along those lines. Research that's been done on people that suffer with this, the bodily reactions they have are the same kind of bodily reactions that a person has when they're in life-threatening danger. So when you are putting yourself in these situations where you're trying to get over it, and you're willingly either trying to get on a bus, on a tube train, just go out, literally go out, whatever it is that triggers your panic attacks, basically it's like somebody saying to you, go and get on that plane and we're going to crash it with you inside it. How many people would be able to find the strength and the sheer mental capacity to actually get on that plane knowing full well that they're going to die, that plane is going to fall out of the sky and you're going to die? Nobody in their right mind would do that. And to somebody like me, it's getting on a bus is akin to someone asking me to go and get on that plane that they're going to crash with me in it. That is how absolutely petrifying it is. And I know that might sound like a load of old crap to somebody that doesn't have this, but that is as straightforward as I can put it to you. That is what it feels like. So to be able to get past that mental block, or that, it's not even a mental block, it's it's the need for survival. So to willingly put yourself in a situation where you feel like if you do it, your life is in danger, that's the hurdle you've got to cross. And this is the hurdle that I've realised over, especially this week, that I'm crossing. And it's given me a completely new perspective on other areas of my life. And it really has made me feel like if I've got the courage to do what I've done over the last week especially, then there's not really a whole lot in life that's going to hold me back. So to anybody, really, the point is to anybody that is doing this, it takes time to find that level of sheer strength and courage. It's not something that comes naturally, and basically you're fighting against nature, really, because that's how our minds work. You know, obviously we know that the fight or flight thing is a prehistoric thing that's programmed into us. So basically you're fighting nature, and that's a very difficult thing to do. You have to be ready to be able to overcome your panic and your nerves. If you're not ready, and if you're not in a place where you can really believe in yourself, it's not going to work. You really, really have to be in a place where you can believe in yourself. Totally, and I mean 100%. Put your life in your own hands, almost. And a lot of people with panic attacks have their safe people, and you feel like you're putting your life in someone else's hands because they can protect you and keep you safe. And when you're with those people, you don't panic because you feel safe. Basically, you have to turn yourself into your own safe person. And that's what I'm doing. And once you do that, you don't feel vulnerable anymore, and life and the big bad world doesn't seem as scary. And I suppose each person would find their own way of putting their own trust in themselves. And then you just kind of have to keep on working at it, and more each day you do end up believing in yourself more and more. And that's kind of where I'm at, really. So I just hope any of you that are following are doing well. And you know, I've had lots of messages left on my YouTube and my Facebook and what have you, and my Twitter. So let me know. I'd really like you to let me know how you're coping.